Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Gemini channel. Don't mind the way I look, I'm looking crazy. All right, I'm going to do a general message for Gemini. Know that energy is fluid, rules could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I do look at everything, but we take a lot more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play it as karmic themes, help you understand why your person's doing what they're doing, why you're attracting that person into your life. There's many different realities that play out at one time. Why would you choose to live a reality that keeps you stuck in a place of disempowerment? Well, you wouldn't, not consciously anyway. So being able to see things from a different perception allows you to not get triggered and allows you to, again, transcend the limitations of the connection. Believe it or not, like I said, you are the alchemist of your life. Let's see what is going on in your connections. Like I said, I look at everything, but we take a lot more time to look at the spiritual blocks and the shadows. All right, let's see. The underlying energy is clear family karma. Whenever I see clear family karma, what that's telling me is that you're connected to a past life karmic mate. And that karmic mate is triggering you, and they're able to trigger you because you have unhealed wounds from your family, from the way that you grew up. I mean, what is karma? Karma is really the end result. We associate it with negative. And when we're talking about clearing family karma, yeah, we're talking about clearing certain habits and behaviorisms that we have adapted from our family. And this person is coming into our life to make us aware of what those core beliefs are. That's really the underlying energy. So you're in separation from this person, I feel like. And I say that because, if you're irritated, then if you're irritated, you're looking at your triggers. And you wouldn't be doing that if you were really happy to be with this person. Like I said, how would we heal our family karma? We wouldn't even know what it was unless certain experiences unfolded in our lives, unless certain people came into our life. Again, narcissism. That tells me that you grew up in an environment that you had like a narcissistic parent, and the narcissistic parent made you feel not good enough, not worthy, not having enough, like limiting. And here it is, you attract this past life karmic mate that you think is a twin flame, and they make you feel all the same ways that that parent made you feel, because they too are like a narcissist. So it's like being in a relationship by yourself. There's someone that you feel like is jealous of you and also tries to make you jealous all the time. So there's someone that tries to keep you stuck in your emotions, and that is what that parent did to you when you were growing up. So the trust issue between you and that parent was ruined because they showed you at a very young age that you couldn't trust them. If they can't trust a parent that's jealous of you, and a parent that just gets triggered by their child because they have unhealed wounds. Well, this soulmate person, you also can't trust. So it tells me that there's a lot of intimacy issues between you and this person, which means that the relationship, they're not going to be transparent. They're not going to be emotionally intelligent. They're not going to show up for you. There's someone that's going to be extremely prideful. They're going to be someone that acts like they don't care, like they can take it or leave it. They're going to be very sensitive to criticism, and so you wind up feeling like, first of all, you're in a relationship with no one, and you wind up regretting being in a relationship with this person because, again, they're on such a low vibration. Again, acting like they don't care. There's someone that's emotionally not intelligent, that has a deep connection to someone else, that should actually act as if nurturing, love. If a person feels like home, why wouldn't you treat them nicely? Well, this person does the exact opposite. That's the same exact as what you grew up in. And again, the karmic lesson is to clear family karma, and that would be all the emotions and thought patterns that this person brings up with inside of you. Obviously, where a person acts like they don't care. It's like you're supposed to love me. So again, how does it make you feel? It would make you feel bad. This person continued to do it. They were very excessive about their behavior. And then to the outside world, they don't act like they really care, like they're Mr. or Mrs. Perfect, but there's someone that emotionally manipulates you through that way. Because understand, part of the narcissist way is to keep you believing that there's something wrong with you. And if they can create the environment that reflects that reality, well, then it's easier for them to do it. So it's just, like I said, bringing up energy from like how you grew up. And so you have to say, well, is this really what this person feels? Doesn't mean that they feel this way. Understand it means that they have wounds. So the feeling that they have for you, they get triggered and they have sabotaging behavior. But what they really feel for you, they're so attracted to you. So then you really have to watch out, because there's a fine line between love and hate and that passion. So they're attracted to you and they want you, but they haven't built that emotional connection yet because they have an issue. Again, just being near you is intoxicating. So again, the essence of you, the timing just wasn't right. Like I feel like they're justifying why they were the way that they were. But they're making changes in their life that they wish that they could share with you, and that they lost themselves for a while. So I feel like you've been in separation for a while, and that this person is like, wow, I really do admire you. But it's like, why they went from one extreme to, you know, treating you badly, to like all of a sudden wanting to come back, wanting to talk to you, where they didn't want to talk to you at all. And the reason why is because you show up in their dreams. So again, there's this past life connection that this person has. They can't explain it. They're changing the patterns and moving forward. Um, and so I just feel like this person is like, the reason why they're changing is mainly because you're changing. There's a part of you that, again, like I said, being connected to this energy just keeps you bound to your childhood trauma. That's what it feels like. You grew up in that environment, and that this person, you know, like has the same narcissistic behavior. And by you, again, doing something different, you get a different result, which doesn't mean that you're supposed to be with this person. Sometimes if you're dealing with a narcissist, it's that there's so much fear from dealing with someone that did so much betrayal. You don't feel safe. And the thing is, here it is. Now this person wants to come back, and you have the opportunity to tell them no. Sometimes you have to go through the experience to actually clear the energetic template, which just means you have to see a different result in order for you to see yourself differently. Where if you grew up with a narcissistic parent, which it said, and then this person's narcissistic, well, like I said, you're going to have the programs of feeling not good enough, not worthy, all those energies until you heal. That's why this person came into your life. Dealing with them differently is how the healing becomes, again, because really this person's intimidated. You might say, well, they intimidated me. Well, they were narcissistic, so you didn't trust them. But they do what they do because they're intimidated by you. Your energy, they love your essence. Narcissists love people's essence. Remember, they're jealous. It came up like they're jealous. It's a very narcissistic trait because the person doesn't have an identity. So here it is, they like your identity, but then you're like, but they showed me that they don't even care about me. Again, because they can get more. If you don't know your worth, then you're going to be a lot easier to manipulate. And sick people hurt people, and understand. So that this person's living their trauma. And that's the issue. It's like that reoccurring karmic theme where this person doesn't really believe that they can have love, needs to control. And I say that because they don't like themselves. Narcissists don't like themselves. But it's not so much. So you're like, so I attracted a person that doesn't love themselves. And Spirit says it was all about, again, activating that past life karma. It really, more than being with this person. Like, because all it really did was stress. Like, it brings a lot of stress. This type of connection doesn't bring anything positive. But like I said, in order to heal, you had to be aware, and you're not going to go back in time to that parent. That was the way that it was. You're not that person. But it was about learning how to deal with that person. It was about looking at those triggers. It's about looking at those triggers. Because it's not really about whether the person comes back. Well, look and see, but if they're not healed, you shouldn't entertain the person, clearly, especially if they're a narcissist, because you already know it's going to keep you bound to whatever childhood trauma you had, being that you grew up in a certain environment with a parent that was like that. So it's about healing, but then when we look and say, well, what did they feel? Because understand that what they feel and what they're doing are two different realities, because when a person has fragmentation, that's what it's going to look like. We don't look to see if we can manipulate, we see to help us understand. So we see again, what are they feeling about the connection? Again, unhealthy attachments. This person has unhealthy attachments, and they might even feel that this is an unhealthy attachment, even though it's not. It's that the fact that they've only had unhealthy attachments, and so they're misreading the spiritual connection, like, oh, you can have so much control over me with it. But I feel like this person, if they are a narcissist, they have unhealthy attachments. So that they might think, well, I don't want to give up that life too. You inspire me in so many ways. And that's what it said before. This person likes your essence. They like who you are. They like what you are. But what we see here is that there's a lack of emotional, like they haven't fed the connection. They acted like they didn't care. That's how the reading started. That's what kept coming up. They act like they don't care. But they really admire you, like you, or jealous of you. That's something you have to watch out for. You are the first person that makes me feel this way. So again, knowing that this person doesn't grow emotional connection. They don't. They're a narcissist. But you can't control love. Even the most broken person has connections to people, like soulmate connection. Thing is, you didn't feed this, so you have the upper hand because you act like you don't care. I'm not going to just hang out with you every day and chase after you and make it easy for you. That's not what I'm going to do. People that don't know their worth do that. So I believe that this was a karmic test for you, because people, again, that give mixed messages, and the person's like, well, I know what you mean. Let me do it, which is what this person plays that game. And before you know it, the person hasn't given anything, but they're expecting everything from you. And so I wish you were here with me. Again, that's those feelings that I said. But again, the silent treatment, but they still give you the silent treatment. But there is this passion and desire. So you're like, it's not that you're not feeling what you feel. The problem is this person runs away because they feel inadequate, which is what narcissist feels inadequate. That's why they want to steal your essence. I mean, it says it right here in so many words less. I really like your essence. I'm jealous of your essence. I want to be kind of like, I'm hating and loathing myself, but I'm looking at you and I like that, which is a very weird thing, but it's a narcissistic thing that happens with a parent and a child. And it also happens with lovers. And I feel like you attracted someone that has awakened the family karma of, wait a minute, like I grew up with a parent that did this. It's like, so I'm highly sensitive about it. I'm very cautious, and it's very triggering because it's like that. It's like to have a parent try and do it, that means that there was a lot of betrayal and self sabotage, because a parent is making you feel that way. I run away to avoid problems. That's the same thing. So this person's an avoidant on top of it. That's why it's just easier for them to act like they don't care. And again, if you didn't know your worth, then hey, it would have been great. But you do. So which is what is keeping this energy like, well, I can't strategize. I can't come in. They would have to come in correct, or don't bother to come in at all. And they really need to do their own healing. So you have to say again, why did you attract this person into your life? You're a mirror of whom, welcome to, what's the whole spiritual significance? Because it's not like, again, the person doesn't have feelings. They do have feelings, but their idea of what love is and your idea of love are two different things. But understand there's also like, I love everything that you are. It's almost like looking at someone and really admiring a person for who they are, to the point that you're like, I want to be that. I like that. So again, where there is like, because of you, I'm starting to see what's really important in life, and that I've been giving up my power to like insignificant things and people. Understand, like, there is awakening there, and it's done because a person daydreams about you, has sexual fantasies about you, is there's passion, because they do have feelings. It's just that what their idea of what relationship is, like I said, is not healthy. And it's because they haven't created themselves, so they're looking at you and being like, yeah, I like that life. You get a lot of attention. It's like, I should do that. Like, again, so you're inspiring, but to a person that hasn't created themselves, you could see why it would trigger them, and why they would eventually, like, you know try to overpower it in somehow. So you have to again say, well, I attracted this person because of family karma. What else? What else were the inner child wounds that needed to be integrated? And spirit says, well, again, every raised by a narcissist is all about them. This person is all about them. Same thing. It's like, but you don't get your needs met. On an emotional level, you're like, I never get my needs met. It's about everyone else. It's about everyone else because they make me feel unworthy. But no one can make you feel unworthy. Unless we're like expecting someone to give us something and then they don't. So spirit says again, we know that the healing goes in fixing that, number one, the unworthy. And to not neglect yourself. You have to reparent yourself. If you want to heal this, you have to again begin to pour into yourself, like disassociation. So again, growing up in an environment where you were neglected, where you were felt made to feel unworthy, that is again, a child can't run away. They detach, they disassociate, they know what happened, they just don't understand the severity of it. It becomes like subconscious. you know we might say, oh, my mother was working all the time, or my father was this, or there was a divorce. We make excuses, we put something there, but nevertheless, the inner child knows, well, I didn't really get what I needed to feel safe, supported, loved. And when I asked for it, it was like misunderstood, like maybe like it was being needy or expecting something, so I didn't ask for it. Just And then it's again, but understand when you're always alone and you're disassociated, the child that survives thrives because, again, the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. You wind up imagining, you wind up going into the imagination realm. That's how you disassociate. If you're a child, where do you think you're going? You're still there. You just can't leave. So you go in your mind and you astral travel and you would disassociate. And that's where your magic is. The psychic realm is in that energy. It's within your mind. So again, going into that aspect of yourself, and now you're able to create, right? Because they would say the child that survives thrives because they have all these ideas and the imagination and the third eye. They can see how things would work within their environment to create their life, to transcend the limitations of their life. Where this person is in survival mode, they're a narcissist. They're not creating themselves. You are like, wow, energy, because you're creating yourself. You again are like magic. They see that. They're like, wow, where that's passion, that's love, that's the spiritual realm. This person is in survival mode. So that's why they're like, oh, I like your essence. Like I said, where really they don't feel like they have one. It's not like they don't have one. We have to create ourselves. We're not our trauma. This person's still walking around like they're trauma, or that they don't know who they are. It's again abandonment, and you understand why you attracted this person into your life, because it's like, again, not there, neglect, abandonment, disassociated. You disassociated. That's why you were connected to a person that's disassociated. Only you might be the empath, the highly sensitive empath, where this person's like a narcissist, and that was the dynamic that you grew up in, where spirit's saying, well, now it's about seeing yourself differently. Again, so we have to recreate the same experience, because what you resist persists. And spirit said, yeah, blockages where you thought that there was something wrong, but there's not anything wrong. Is that you had to go through that experience to see yourself differently, and possibly put this person where they needed to be, and then transmute the negative energy. Because if you grow up without that love, without that support, that neglect, there would be. But spirit's saying you have to channel. You have to still become yourself. If you were giving time to this person that gives absolutely nothing, well, and made you feel unworthy because they do so, well, spirit's saying you're not going to waste your time that way. In order to really integrate the spiritual lesson, you have to embody a new consciousness. You have to, again, transmute that negative energy and understand, again, that to realize that this was just a stepping stone, that each experience brings you closer to, your evolution process, really to just revert you back to the energy of unconditional love. So don't judge your process, is what spirit's saying. And then now it's all about listening to the whispers of your soul, guiding you, aligning your actions with your values to make sure that you're safe. And it's about letting go of who you were in order to see who you truly are. Because it's, again, that part of you was still in the past due to that childhood trauma, where spirit's like, no. Like, it's, again, you're not even that person anymore. It's like you wouldn't even deal with it the same way. But, you don't know that, and you're giving too much time to like a person that didn't earn it. So there is a blockage there. And that would happen too if you you were neglected and didn't have the support. Now is the time to see that support work through your environment, and by, again, listening to your soul, be guided by gut, intuition, inner knowing. It's about giving and receiving of love through your free will, so you can see the opportunities in your environment, so that you get that divine guidance, which happens in the now. Only in the now do you get that divine guidance, right? Because it's a co-creation process. And this is how you fill your cup up all the way, so that you can really ascend life and let go of the trauma, because you're not your trauma. However, when we go through trauma and we haven't created enough of a new life, well, then spirit says it's like you're still carrying around that energy. And, don't you want to move into brighter horizons? Just know that you're an empowered soul. Like, look at everything that you've overcome. Now you're going to go into the unknown and really, again, manifest brighter horizons for yourself, because you deserve it. And really, this person's a narcissist. They get left in the past, healing themselves, where you inspired them and you showed them how to be through the example. And spirit says, that's it. You'll be like, but it's like, again, but I thought that they were going to be my passion. And God says, no, they were never supposed to be your passion. Your passion is becoming yourself. A person will never be perfect enough to be consistent enough for you to always be fulfilled in life. You have to do it for yourself. And if you were holding on to that trauma because, hey, enough of a new life hasn't been created yet, so I can't see, then Spirit says, that's why you're going into the unknown. That's why you're not going to waste your time with this person because of that. So even though you're like, oh man, that kind of sucks, Spirit says, if you were with them, it would really suck. But once you're out and about, and then you become a magnet for the energies that are supposed to be in your life now, that are in more alignment with who you are today, not the wounds of your past, is what Spirit says, is so that you're going to attract what you want. We leave off with, I am the light. Always have hope, no matter the ordeal. Have faith in a better future. Turn darkness into light. You open your heart to others and to God and become spiritually strong. You draw the light to you and you shine with all your being. So it's all about, again, evolving back into your original energy of unconditional love, of being light. And again, because of the way you grew up, you had a blockage and you weren't really aware, but you saw it play out within your relationships. And but this relationship, you were able to actually integrate the spiritual lesson, and which needed to be done. And that means really not just integrate, but embody that new consciousness, which would allow you to see brighter horizons for yourself, because there's many different realities that play out at one time. So Spirit says you're still coming from that limitation. So again, experiences allow us to heal. All right, I'm going to leave that there. You let me know how you resonated. Thanks for sharing your energy with me, and I will talk to you later or soon. Bye.